Good morning, traders. I am Emily Advani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Thursday, June 13th. We are coming off a mixed session this morning after signs of slightly cooling inflation yesterday and the Fed keeping rates steady. To close out regular trading, the Nasdaq jumped 264 points, or more than 1.5%. The S&P 500 gained 45 points, or 0.85%. The Dow was the day's only loser, slipping at 35 points, or just less than 0.1%. Bill, let's get into Thursday with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Hi, yes, good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&P. Say we're up 0.16%. Looks good, I don't like the feeling, though. I don't like the feeling. I think a lot of these gains are really due to, some, results from earnings companies and Tesla this morning. I'm a little cautious, I must say, going into today. We do have that PPI coming out. We also have jobless claims. Those are two big ones that we got to be watching for. I see President Biden, he's in Italy for that G7 summit. They're going to be discussing Ukraine, risks with AI and migration issues. These are all topics for discussion while he's at the G7 summit. That Tesla shareholders meeting, that's going to happen today after the bell. And now they will release the findings of their pending move to Texas and Musk's $56 billion payday. Musk tweeted last night that it was approved. But I need to see the shareholder notes when they come out this afternoon. Broadcom released really strong earnings, and the key here was they did a 10-for-1 stock split. That was really positive. But we're looking at the other markets. We're looking at the DAX. We're looking over what's going on in Europe this morning. The DAX is down a little over 1%, or 196 points. Wholesale prices in Germany showed an annual decline of 0.7% in May. Which was slower than the 1.8% in April. Okay. The FTSE is down 29 points, or 0.36. Remember, they got a Bank of England, meeting going on next week. France, down. The CAC is down 91 points. That's 1.16%. Industrial output in the Eurozone declined slightly in April. A little concerning. And then there was, comments from one of the ECB officials who were saying, listen, they're going to be data dependent and, kind of alluding to don't expect another cut anytime soon. Then we're moving over to Asia and seeing what happened in the action in Asia last night. We're looking at the Nikkei, which fell 156 points, or 0.4%. Hong Kong actually rose 174 points, or about 1%. And Shanghai dropped 0.28%. The Bank of Japan, those guys are having their monetary policy meeting tomorrow, and it's expected to announce a reduction in government bond purchases. In Hong Kong, they came out with their GDP projections of 2.5 to 3.5% growth. They did expand 3.2 in 2023, so I guess that's kind of in the range. I guess that's okay. China's looking to hit back on the European Union, and they're said to be tariffs on EV vehicles. Not real positive happening going on there when you start talking tariffs. Then we're talking oil prices. Oil prices are lower by over 0.75% this morning. You got WTI at $77.79 a barrel. That's down 0.9%. You got Brent at $81.98 a barrel. That's down 0.75%. Listen, the market is dealing with the Fed announcement yesterday. They're not really giving any commentary about the rate hikes, and you look at what the Fed said yesterday with respect to interest rates and when they may cut. Four of those Fed members said they don't see any cuts this year. And then you got to deal with the EIA stockpiles report, which actually showed a build of crude oil inventories of 3.7 million barrels. Now, that was different from the API estimates, which came out last night, which actually saw a draw occurring in crude oil estimates. So, that's still being priced in, and that's why you're seeing oil prices fall, because, a build in inventories is bad for oil prices. But that's what I have for you in terms of morning market update report this morning, Emily.
Bill, plenty of updates in that, and we're going to be sifting through some of the details. You mentioned earnings. You did mention events, taking a look at what the Fed was saying yesterday after they kept rates steady. And there's other headlines in different sectors and segments coming out today. And we're going to get through all of that this morning right here on NewsWare's Trade Talk. So we're going to start first with earnings, though there isn't a ton. There's some really interesting ones to note. So Bill, give us a look at what we should be watching when it comes to earnings action.
Well, we're going to start off with Dave & Buster's, ticker PLAY, Paul, Larry, Apple, Yellow. That's play. Dave & Buster's, they missed by 65 cents. They did it on lower revenue. It's just ugly. Stock's down 8.64% this morning. Then we got Broadcom.com, AVGO, ticker AVGO, Apple, Victor, Grace, Oscar. They beat by 12 cents. They did that on higher revenue. It was a positive report, but the key was they're doing a 10-for-1 stock split. You look at that stock this morning, it is up 13.85%. It's over $1,702 right now. So yeah, Broadcom was a stellar report last night. Then you got upcoming earnings. RH, ticker RH, used to be known as Restoration Hardware, now it's known as RH. Their earnings are said to be a negative 11 cents when they come out this afternoon. Expected move here is 12.15%. Then you got Adobe, ticker ADBE, Apple, David, Boy, Edward. Their EPS is $4.39. Expected move is 7.59% when they release this afternoon, Emily.
Bill, if Broadcom sounds familiar to our listeners, that is because that was your pick of the day yesterday. No, you gave us a little look at the stock there. We will do a full recap on that pick of the day by the end of the show. So stick with us for that. Now we're going to get to economic events. More data coming out even after we saw inflation data yesterday. Of course, that Fed announcement and commentary from Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell all yesterday, but we're still watching these indicators today to continue to get a feel for what the Fed may or may not be doing next. So Bill, give us a look at what we should be watching when it comes to economic events.
Well, we got two kind of good ones. We got jobless claims and for last week and the PPI for May. I mean, the May PPI report is expected to slow to 0.1 from 0.5, and the weekly jobless claims is expected to slow as well that number is expected to come in about 225,000. Remember last week it was 229,000. So those are the key ones. And then you look at the Fed, and I mean, the dot plot was really big. I mean, it indicated that, how the 19 Fed officials voted, and really what it came down to was 4 officials voted no cuts at all this year, but 7 projected 1 rate reduction, and the remaining 8 were actually forecasting 2 rate cuts this year. So, if you look at it, you got 15 of the 19 members talking rate cuts. Only 4 are saying no. I can pretty much tell you the 4 that are saying no. But that is positive as long as that momentum is still on the side of rate cuts. The market will be okay. That's what I have for you in terms of economic reports. But we got to talk about Fed speak because we got Fed speak coming up. And today at noon, we're going to be hearing from New York Fed Bank President John Williams. Remember, he's a close ally of Jerome Powell. So, he could have some insights, that could move the market. We want to be on the lookout for any comments from John Williams. You can type in G/Fed and you'll probably follow that very easily on NewsWare. But that's something I wanted to point out, John Williams' speech today. But that's what I have for you in terms of economic reports today, Emily.
And Bill, you just pointed out that you're able to set up alerts for Fed speak. You can do individual Fed officials along with creating alerts for economic events. You also have that alert for earnings action, which is how you get those reports right away as they come out. And the other thing that you watch using your news were all different types of data and information, headlines coming out of different sectors and segments. You look at things like guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news, other catalysts. You're grouping stocks together like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks, as if all we mentioned isn't enough to be watching today. You're still watching more. So Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
I'm just kind of doing a quick data check on my Dow stocks this morning. And what I see is I'm showing, 17 lower, 9 higher. That's that's kind of negative. But then you look at your FANG stocks this morning. Yeah, you got Tesla up, but the other four are trading lower. So this is kind of why I'm a little bit nervous on the market today. And you see Travelers Group. Travelers Group is down 2% already this morning. They had some negative call put volumes yesterday, I want to point out. But then we want to talk about the news that's kind of hitting the tape, like Apple. There's a story that hit the tape on Apple this morning that said that Apple isn't paying OpenAI as part of their partnership and aims to eventually make money from AI by striking revenue share deals with chatbot owners. No wonder Microsoft is pissed at Sam Altman of OpenAI. They this isn't a good deal. Um, Netflix, listen, entertainment companies, are leaning on bundling to, their streaming services to drive down prices. Yeah, I can see that. Musk, Tesla, he announced last night that the shareholders have approved his $56 billion pay package and that companies move to Texas have been approved. Um, there's also talk that Tesla's going to be raising prices in China due to tariffs. The meeting's this afternoon at 4:30. I really hope that this is, comes to be true, because if not, that stock's going to fall hard. You could have one of the biggest down days you've seen, moving down to 140. I have a tendency to think that Musk's types, kind of, sees the early results and think that that's, enough. I'm still waiting for the official results to come out this afternoon at 4:30. That's my feeling. Now we're talking Dow Jones 30 stocks. We're talking 3M, Minnesota Mining Manufacturing. 3M is transferring $2.5 billion of their defined benefit pension obligations to Met Tower Life. Ooh, that's good news for 3M. Stock was trading 101.50 earlier today. Now it's at 102.90. We're talking Boeing, ticker BA. They told the Department of Justice they didn't violate any prosecution agreements after the 737 MAX crashes. Boeing's down, fractionally this morning. Then we're talking Caterpillar, and I just want to point out that yesterday we talked about Caterpillar because they were having that annual shareholders meeting. You know what came out of that annual shareholders meeting? They came out with a story that they're going to be adding $20 billion to their share repurchasing authorization out of that Wednesday shareholders. This is why we watch shareholders meeting, because that was a big move. In terms of guidance news, AVGO, Broadcom, ticker AVGO, Apple, Victor, Grace, Oscar, they raised their full year 2024 revenue to 51 billion from 50 billion. Street has it at 50.42 billion, so that's an uptick. We're talking Signet Jewelers, ticker SIG, Sam, India, Grace. They see Q2 revenue coming in 1.46 billion to 1.52 billion. Street estimate as at 1.51 billion. That's an uptick. So, we got it. Got to be happy about that. You look at the stock this morning and it is flat. Bid offer is 106.70 to 109. Stock's last trade at 108.42. So it's in between there. So, okay. Shareholders meetings today, Tesla, 4:30 p.m. We'll be paying, the market's going to be paying attention to this. Stellantis, ticker STLA, Sam, Tom, Larry, Apple, they're going to be holding a virtual shareholders meeting. Starts at 8 a.m. this morning. In terms of buyback news, Caterpillar may be repurchasing, 20 to 21.8 billion common stock shares. That came out yesterday at the shareholders meetings I mentioned. But today, Planet Fitness, ticker PLNT, Paul, Larry, Nancy, Tom, they announced a $280 million accelerated share repurchase agreement with Citibank. I think this is part of their $500 million plan that they announced last November. But when you do an accelerated share repurchasing plan, that's actually good news for the stock. We're looking at the stock this morning, and we're seeing a gain. What are we seeing here? Stock's up 1.31%. Ooh, that's nice. Then we get some catalyst calls going on today. YMM, Yellow Mary. This is Full Truck Alliance. Citibank opens up a 90-day positive catalyst watch on Full Truck Alliance. So, someone to watch. I also see that Coca-Cola and Royal Caribbean were added to their focus list, and they removed First Horizon and Walmart. Okay, Walmart's trading a little lower this morning. But that's what I have for you in terms of news hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. It is now that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, what's your pick of the day today?
Going with RH, ticker RH, company's name's RH, formerly known as Restoration Hardware. Earnings are out this afternoon. EPS is for a loss of 12 cents. The expected move is 12.15%. Okay, now the call volume yesterday, we saw 3,621 calls versus 3,422 puts. That's positive. It's not egregiously positive, but it's positive. On the open interest side, we're looking at 32,965 on the call side versus 43,969 on the put side. That's not positive. So it's not checking all my boxes. But there's not a lot to choose from. This looks like best of breed to me. Brokers, for the most part, do like the stock. They've been raising price targets, so that's good to see. The company's management was bullish on demand for the furnitures and talking backlogs in last quarter's conference call, and they delivered a miss last quarter. So that kind of concerns me. But it's about the housing market. And the housing market still is pretty good. So if the housing market's pretty good, especially in the high end, you're going to see RH being able to pick up some momentum. Now, in terms of an opening price, 283 to 287, I want to get in 283 area. 282 to 283 is kind of like my feeling if we don't have real weakness at the market open. If we do have market weakness, I'm thinking 278. But that's kind of it's an iffy one because I don't think that the SPOOs are going to be as positive as they're indicating so far this morning. But that's my pick of the day. RH, don't want to hold it into earnings. Richard Henry, and that's my pick of the day, Emily.
RH with that caveat, not holding it into earnings. For an entry price, giving us a range here this morning depending on how the markets open. And we're going to see coming up how yesterday's pick of the day went, so stick with us. But first, let's take a look at the current at the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, sending it back to you.
DraftKings appoints Ed Bradbury as their chief accounting officer. Okay. MetLife and Pac with 3M to provide annuity benefits obligations for their of $2.5 billion. ADM, Archer Daniels and Bayer extend farming collaboration. Stellantis STLA CEO outlines 9 strategic differentiators the company leverages. And the first investor day, interesting. Raytheon got a $506 million NASA contract, RTX. AVGO, ticker ABBV, Apple Boy Victor, they enter into a license agreement with FutureGen to develop IBD therapies. AMD, Intel, Citibank notes that that notebook shipments are above expectations. It's good for those stocks. Also Best Buy. JIL, ticker JIL, that they announced offering 2 million shares. Shares are falling off that news. It's not good. 3M. They missed the primary and secondary endpoints of a gene therapy drug. Norvax, NVAX, they're holding a shareholders meeting today at 8:30 a.m. Virgin Atlantic, the space tourism company, announced a 1-for-20 reverse stock split yesterday. Said to go into effect June 14th. Microsoft's President Brad Smith, he's going to testify before the House of Representatives panel on Homeland Security later today. He's going to field questions about security practice after the Russian and Chinese hacking incidents. That could be good for, some of the cybersecurity firms, by the way. Not good for Microsoft, but good for the cybersecurity firms. JP Morgan said that its outlook for investment banking revenue, and they're forecasting a jump of 25 to 30%. That makes sense because, you're going to see a lot more IPOs coming out later this year and next year. And that's why with those IPOs, they make a lot of money. So forecasting a jump of 25 to 30%, it makes a lot of sense. Goldman Sachs is going to be doubling its lending over the next 5 years to the ultra wealthy private banking clients. That's what I'm seeing for you this morning, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we dive into trading on this Thursday, let's take a look at that pick from yesterday. We pointed it out early in the show, was Broadcom. As you told us during your earnings report, they did report earnings yesterday. The company posted an adjusted earnings of $10.96 a share. Analysts were looking for $10.85 a share. This was on sales of $12.49 billion for the quarter ending May 5th. Analysts here were looking for $12.06 billion. On a year-over-year basis, Broadcom's earnings rose 6%, sales surged 43%, and that was credited to that acquisition of VMware. Excluding VMware, sales were still up 12% year over year. As you pointed out in your opening and your NewsWare alerts, they also declared a 10-for-1 stock split. Big for the stock this morning. It is up big. Bill, give us a look. How did your call work out?
Fabulous. I mean, it worked out well. I mean, listen, stock opened up at 1,500. I was too rich for me. I was just holding on the sidelines, and then it fell down to $1,476. I got in at 1482. I felt that was a good price, and I was holding on to it because it was trading in that range. Up from 1480 to like 1500. And I figured I could make my 1% there, and I did, and the stock did close at 1495 at then after earnings. Stock just bounced. It just ran. I mean, if you look at it this morning, it's already hit a high of $1,719. It's over a 200-point move in one day. Yeah, it worked out. Broadcom ticker AVGO, big mover on a dollar wise and pretty good on a percentage wise as well. It's up, 13.81%. So AVGO was a winner yesterday, Emily.
Bill, we will certainly take that as a win, and we will check in with you tomorrow about today's RH pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow to end your trading week with NewsWare's Trade Talk, when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Advani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.